everybody. This is a video that'll help you do learn how to do several things on the graphing calculator. How to input data, how to make a plot and size your window appropriately, how to test an equation for the data, have the calculator create an equation that's both linear and exponential in type, and then graph that on top of your scatter plot to see if it actually fits visually. Also, I'm going to give you a warning about what not to do when you go back and enter new data. A lot of people accidentally delete an entire columns and then they don't know how to bring that column back. So here we go. Inputting data. Basically, you go to your stat button. Now, as you can see here, I have some data entered here, but we're going to go back and edit that. So once you push your stat button, you've got some options here. We're going to edit our data, so I'm just going to hit enter. Okay, so as you can see, I've entered in some data, and it's pretty easy. You just highlight the section you want to enter. You can arrow back and forth and enter whatever number you want, like 2, and then hit enter. Or I believe you can go arrow down. Yep. So I have several rows of data here. The graphing calculator automatically designates that L1 is your X variable and L2 is your Y. So these are essentially coordinate points. The first point being 2, 8, second point being 5, 7, third point being 8, 6, and so on. So how many data points do I have? It looks like that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now, over here, this is actually the graph. Now, you can't actually see that simultaneously normally. This is a different type of software. But the type of graph that we're looking at is not a curve or a line. This is called a scatter plot. So in order to actually create this, you have to go to second, and then stat plot, which is the second function of your y equals screen. Now, you can actually create more than one plot on the screen at the same time. I don't know why you'd want to do that, honestly, because that would get kind of confusing to look at a bunch of dots from different relationships. I'm going to go ahead, and you can see that I've already turned my stat plot on. You can actually turn that one back off, so you can have several plots listed in your edit screen, and at the same time kind of go back and choose which one you want to look at a given moment. Now, I don't do that. I just put in one at a time, but that is an option if you're a little more tech savvy. Okay, now obviously I can't use my arrow key here because you don't have that in your graphing calculator. So if you want to turn a plot back off again so it's not part of the active functions of the calculator, you simply arrow over and you hit enter there. Okay. Now you can see that the calculator is not acknowledging it anymore. The graph, if we go to the graph screen, it would be blank and so on. But let's go ahead and keep that one on. The type, if you're making a traditional scatter plot, would look like a bunch of dots, so that's the first one. Our X list, as I mentioned, is in L1, in that first column in that screen that I was on previously. Y is in L2. And then you can make your dots look different ways. If you want to make them look like plus signs, you can go down here. Let's see. Arrow down. And we can toggle over and select a little tiny dot if we want to. You can see how the graph changes to little mini dots. Or we can arrow over to the left and try little plus signs. Some people like that better. I'm a big fan of the square, so I'm going to keep it that way. Okay. Now, back in our stat edit screen, I want to set my window so that I can actually see this. Now, I basically already did this. I set the window so that I could kind of, not only could I see the points, but I could also have a little space on each side. Some people make the mistake of setting, if their smallest point is 2, they set their X minimum to be exactly 2. But what you get when you do that is exactly half of this square kind of sticks out, looks, incomplete. So I like to give myself some healthy margins. Here I have my smallest X value being 2, my highest X value being 9, and so it looks like I went from 0 to 10, so I could give myself a little margins on each side. And then my Y value, it looks like my smallest one is 6 and my highest one is 8. Now, I've given myself some extra space here, which I don't really need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into window, and I'm going to correct so that I don't really have all this space down here. I'm going to set it from 5 to 9 for the y value. So you go into window. As I mentioned, you've got 0 to 10. The scale is 1. That's what the x-axis is counting by. Y minimum, oops, I have to arrow down. I said I wanted to put that at 5 because the lowest value is actually 6. And let's go to 10 because I think the highest value is 9. Again, the y-axis counting by ones. So now if you go to graph, we're going to see this image. Okay. These little dots mean that this is not actually the x-axis itself, but it's still giving you the scale of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The y-axis, on the other hand, you kind of have to know that, yes, in solid it's y, but it doesn't mean that this is 0. This just happens to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In order to identify exactly what these tick marks are, you have to go back to window. Okay. Now, something else you can do is zoom in and out. If you really feel like there might be some dots that aren't quite there, you maybe set your parameters wrong, you can certainly zoom in and out. For example, if I wanted to zoom out, I could certainly do that from this screen. This is the center of my dots. Yes, I want to zoom out from the center. So I'm going to hit enter. And so you can see I've zoomed back out. Now I can actually see the axes more clearly, and if I know I'm counting by 1, yeah, they're a little smaller, but at least now you can see exactly the x and y axis more definitively. I'm going to zoom back in because I like my window as it was. There you go. Okay. So if you wanted to create an equation for this particular pattern, I don't know. This doesn't look like any particular pattern. It's not linear because it doesn't go kind of straight. You've got this kind of stray coordinate here. It might be parabolic because you've got this U shape. You could certainly type in an equation and see if it fits. And you're going to do that in pre-calc on your own. And you can certainly go to the y equals screen, type in your equation, and then if you go to the graph screen, you'll actually see that, and you can see if it matches the curve of the dots. If it's way off, obviously the equation is wrong, but if it tends to kind of follow the pattern, then yeah, that's reasonably assumed to be a good model of the data. Okay, now we're going to ask this calculator to actually try to create either a linear or an exponential model. And as I mentioned, this is kind of neither one. So it's hard for us as human beings to look at this type of pattern and go, oh, it's linear or it's exponential. So we're going to ask the calculator to do it for us. The first thing we want to do is make sure that the diagnostics are on, and that's a function within the catalog selection. So we're going to go second, 0. We can see that catalog screen there. And then we're going to arrow all the way down to diagnostic on. It's in alphabetical order, so we simply arrow all the way down. This may take a while. Oh, where are you? A, B, C. Oh, we're almost there. And diagnostic on. Oop, I went a little past it, didn't I? A little overzealous with my clicking. Oh, let's go back. Okay, there it is. Diagnostic on. So I'm going to enter that, and then you hit enter again. Okay, what does that do? Well, the calculator is going to give you an equation, but it can't always tell you if that's a good equation that matches the data or a bad equation, unless you turn on this diagnostic tool. So I'll show you what that means in just a moment, but let's ask it first to create an equation for the data. So first you're going to go into stat, and then this time we're going to arrow to the right, and we're going to be in the calc screen, and let's see if it can create a regular linear equation. This one is y equals mx plus b. That's what we want to see. And if we hit enter a couple of times, bam. So that's the equation that's a linear equation that's the best fit for this data. So the slope is negative, okay, so the line is basically going like this, and the y-intercept is 7.5. So if this is running for 5, 6, 7.5, so it's basically a line that's kind of starts right here and it goes down like that. Okay. How close to a line is this actual pattern of dots? Well, the r, not the r squared, but the r gives us that indication. The closer to the number 1 or -1 this is, it can be either 1 or -1, it doesn't matter, the closer to an equation for a line. As you can see, this is 0.3. That's like 30% close to a line, which is not very good. 1 or -1 means 100%. Well, let's see what we can do if we ask the calculator to create an exponential equation for this. So this time we have to pay a little arrow down to, I believe it's 10. Oh, there it is. An exponential equation. Give me the best exponential equation for this pattern. Okay, so it says y equals a times b to the x would be y equals 7.5 roughly times 0.985 to the x power. Now, you can see here that we're not much closer. Okay, this is again not a good exponential equation, but it's 33% roughly close to an exponential equation. Now the other one, a linear equation, was 30%. So this one is just slightly better. They're both kind of a mess. As I said, a parabolic equation would probably be best because these dots are kind of going in a U shape. So we're probably, if I did a parabolic equation, a quadratic, we'd probably get a higher percentage. Now in pre-calc we're not actually doing that kind of comparison, but we can certainly do that now in case you're curious. A quadratic equation, I believe that would be this one. We can ask it to calculate one of those for the data. And there you go, it's a little bit better. We've got 57% close to a perfect U shape here. And yeah, these dots don't line up in a perfect U shape, but it's closer than the other two types. Okay, so what you can then do is if we decided that we want to model this with that particular type of equation, the one that we just had, let's see, what you can do, let's go back here to a quadratic. If you decided that that's the best type of equation that fits, then we can type this into the screen in our y equals. And we can actually see what it looks like. So we would type in y equals 0.1169 x squared plus negative 1.3896 x plus 10.4. And then just kind of see what the curve looked like. It would probably come down like this and then back over like that. And you could kind of see that, yeah, that equation is, it's close to that pattern of dots. Now, the last thing I wanted to tell you is if you go back to the stat edit screen, that's where all our original data is, and you want to clear this out, do not use the delete key. Okay, a lot of people, they go up to this little title here and then they just hit delete. Okay, that's the absolute last thing you want to do. You do not want to do that. You've got a couple options. You can clear this out one at a time, these little numbers, by hitting delete, 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 which is kind of time consuming. You know, and then go over to the other column and just go delete, 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 delete until all the numbers are gone. Or another option is to go to the stat screen and go to setup number 5, which is down here, and setup editor, and that will allow you to, enter. I think it's going to be confused. Yep. It's going to allow you to clear that out, all your original data. So let's go back one more time. Stat 5. Oh, here we go. You can also clear the list this way. There you go. Just choose number 4. Okay. Now I don't know if it's not letting me select this because we do have a clear list. Yeah, I think it's just because I just emptied it out. There is no list to clear. But anyway, that's one way to do it. Trust me, if there were numbers in there, it would allow me to clear it. All right, and that is your graphing calculator tutorial.